Hey everybody. So I am actually on two devices here. So whoop, whoop. I'm actually on two devices. So I'm gonna try to keep looking back and forth. Hey Tawan, is it Tawanta Stanley? How are you? So everybody, I am between two social medias. I am doing Instagram and I'm also doing Facebook. And I just wanted to come in. I read an article that Michelle Williams, um, who was with the group Destiny's Child, checked herself into a mental health facility. Hey, Demetria Dorsey, thank you for coming in. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and just kind of talk to you guys. Hey, Elizabeth Harris. Hello, Sharon Richmond. Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? So I just wanted to talk really quickly about this. When I saw this, I was very, very interested. I know she has spoken about um, being suicidal. She has spoken about being depressed. And so we see this article and it seems so simple. When I read it, I was like, very interesting, because I remember my days in major depression and really, really trying to seek professional help. Hello, Miss Rhonda Dickerson. Hello, Diane. Thank you guys for coming in. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, you guys. So I'm going to try to catch anyone who has any comments. If you have any questions, let's just do a chat on this evening and talk about this. Hey, Angela, how are you? So I saw the article that Michelle Williams had checked herself in a mental health facility, and it made me just wonder, like, wow, so is it that easy? What about those who everyday lives, like myself and you guys, who have friends and family who want to try and go get help? And maybe you have tried to go and get help before. Hey, John, maybe you have tried to go and get help before. But it didn't seem that it was that easy to do. So let me just go ahead and introduce who I am really quickly so we can jump in, have some conversation, because I want to know, what should we do? So my name is Nita Vaught. I am the founder of Reconnecting Our Communities, where I help inspire and motivate others to live life intentionally by teaching them how to journal. I also have Expression Author Your Story, where in my company we also share stories and anthologies with real people with real stories from survival. So I wanted to talk to you guys about depression. I often talk about depression and my own depression. Hey, Rakia. Hey, Keith. And I just wanted to know, what are your thoughts? Has anybody ever personally, you knew that something wasn't right, you knew that you felt that something was wrong, you really didn't know what it was? Some of us have not even had our depression identified until later on in life, whether you were in your mid-20s or late 30s or early 30s. And sometimes we are not diagnosed until later in life. And when we're finally getting a name to this feeling that we probably have felt for some time now, maybe since we were youth, whether we were young teenagers, young adults, and we finally have a name to this thing, was it that easy for you to just go and check in? So I remember the only time that I have been checked in was in 2009 when I had a suicide attempt. So it wasn't that I walked in on my own. I was found and taken to the hospital, and so I woke up 2 days later and I was on the psych ward. And so I remember when I left, I was told that if I felt the need to come back, that I needed to make sure that I come back. Like, you just come in, you talk to somebody, let somebody know something is wrong. Well, I had battled that anxiety and depression after I left. I really didn't get a follow-up with anybody. Nobody reached out and called just like they said they would, but they did not. And I just kept going through life, right? And so I just kept going and going, kind of just fought the depression for some years. And then what happened was, later on, life hit me again. So in 2015, I started suffering from this anxiety again. Now, I had depression throughout the years, but I wasn't in that crisis stage. And so for me, when I went back into that crisis stage, I did remember okay, I was told that I can check myself in. Well, I was going from hospital to hospital. I felt this anxiety. I didn't know what it was, where it was coming from, how to control it. It was out of control. Literally every day, it really debilitated my body. There was, I couldn't function. I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't even go outside. I couldn't care for my children. I couldn't feed them. I couldn't clothe myself. I couldn't do anything. And so when I was reaching out to these doctors, for me, it was okay, I'm here for help, because that's what we expect doctors to do, is to get us help. But the truth of the matter is, depression and anxiety is something that no one sees. It's not like we go in and we have, we have a gunshot wound, or we have this knife wound, or we have something that's very invisible. And so I was checking into different emergency rooms trying to find help. And it took about 4 months before I saw a psychiatrist, which was a really, really long time, because by that time I started to then suffer from hallucinations. I started to hear voices, and it just got to a point where I was okay, I'm back at the suicidal stage now, because this time I'm hearing voices. And so they always tell you, just go get checked in or call the behavioral health line. Well, what happens when you do all of that, right? What happens when you do everything that they tell you to do, but it seems as though you can't get the help that you're seeking? You can't get the help in a timely manner. So when I read this article that says Michelle Williams has checked herself into a mental health facility, it kind of made me feel a certain kind of way, because as people, we should all be treated the same, right? But the truth of the matter is, money talks, okay? And I know we don't want to hear it, but we may hear some people say, well, money talks, and we may hear people say, well, you get what you pay for. But should we have separated emergency rooms from walk-ins for people who are coming in with depression, anxiety, who are feeling suicidal? The reason why I'm saying that is because from my own personal experience, I was very, very hurt. I lost trust in the system of doctors, because these doctors, in my area, it's not a really good area. However, it's a hospital, right? This hospital specifically did not treat me as a person who came in with behavioral health issues. They did not treat me with the respect. I was literally around in, emergency rooms have bays, so you can basically hear everything. And when you are in major depression and anxiety, the last thing you want to do is hear all of these conversations while you're battling the conversations in your mind, while you're in darkness in your mind, while you're trying to control the thoughts of your own self and the suicidal thoughts and the feeling that something is wrong with you, or people are looking at you crazy. People think that something is wrong with you. And so I just remember on the inside just crying uncontrollably. I kept saying to myself, God, oh my goodness, when I get better, I'm going to say something, because I went to seek help, but there was no help. Right? But when we see people with money, it seems as though they know they have access to these places that we probably have never even heard of. Now, I live in DC, and I will say I have not once found a facility that I can just walk into and basically check myself in for mental health. It's usually you have to go into the emergency room. Once you go into the emergency room, they'll send somebody to talk with you. They'll evaluate you. And then they'll see. Now, there were times where I did go in. They was like, well, we don't have any more room. They will call around to other hospitals. I've also had where the doctors has told me, well, it's not that we don't have room, but the people who are on the floors are much more worse than you are. And here I am wondering if I go back home, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Because if I hear one more daggone voice, I may just go and kill myself. And that was real. And I was battling, especially when nightfall comes. It was like a real battle to just try to stay alive. And so, I just kept going and kept going. I would wait for my doctor's office to open up, bamming on the doors and just trying to go in. And it was really, really horrible. So I'm just wondering, where's the care? Like here in the District of Columbia, I see all of this ton of money going into so many programs that, to be honest with you, I don't see working. I don't see any results. I see facilities where there's no results at all. There are facilities that are around and you're not getting good care. They may say, well, we have this and we have that you can go to. But I've seen a lot of more of these places where it's more of the drug addicts and alcoholism. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to feel like that's a place for me to go to because I'm not a drug addict. Like I don't smoke weed. I don't do crack. I don't shoot up. And so when I go into these facilities, that's what I saw. And so you may call it, well, Nita, you're stigmatizing. But the truth of the matter is, what I have seen is that there is only more help for individuals who are on drugs. If you're not on drugs, then it may be something else. But it's unfair. And so I just feel that we should have better facilities. And in these facilities, there should be things like yoga. Because people with money, when they go to these facilities, they have certain people that are there, okay? Very qualified individuals. And when I say that, I mean they have things such as meditation, fitness. They have a nutritionist because they're watching what they eat. They're putting certain foods in their body. They're feeding them healthy foods. You have your group circles. You have your psychiatrists. You have your nurses. You have your peer supporters. You have like these people giving you so much love and so much energy and pouring into you. You're doing affirmations. You're doing all of these things, right? But when I had my, day in the psychiatric unit, I didn't get that. I will say I did like the support groups. I did like the morning groups that we had because it was a moment for me where I had to become vulnerable. And in becoming vulnerable, I had to make sure that, not make sure, I became vulnerable in knowing, let me stop fighting whatever is wrong. I'm in a place where I'm not by myself, right? And so everyone who was there, we all could relate to one another, right? And so it allowed me to be able to have a voice and to meet people who were not going to judge me, okay? So that was the good part that I did like about it. Now, did we do yoga, meditation, affirmations, and all of that? No. Pretty much it worked like this. You got up at a certain time during the day. Everyone stood in line, took your medications. You got ready for group time, support group time. They asked you, are you homicidal, suicidal? You ask the question. You sit around, you talk. You have your rec time. I like to read books and do crossword puzzles, walk the halls. And there were two sides. And one side is when you first come in. And the other side is you'll get there on the other side if you, I don't want to say if you acted good, but if you participated and they didn't feel you were belligerent or anything like that, like you would go to the other side. And pretty much you will probably be discharged in like a week or so, right? So that's how it worked. But I would have loved to see, even after I started suffering again and going through this period in my life in 2015, the things that I did personally, affirmations, journaling. Journaling was a big benefit for me because the depression silenced me. So if you was to ask a question, I could not answer you. I could hear you, but I was talking to myself silently on the inside. The medications kind of just drowns out my voice. Not saying that it's not bad, but I just did not want to talk. Exercise really was a good benefit, and I didn't hit the gym, but I did try and get out and walk before anybody was outside. So that really was a great benefit for me as well. And I just saw all of these new and different things where I took myself out of I took myself out of, I see some of your questions and I'm going to get to them in about 2 minutes. So I started to see where things started to get better for me. And so I just found like, why is it they're not teaching us this? Why is it we don't have this type of therapy and support, as though if someone was to go into a rehab facility for their leg, they have to learn to walk again, they are feeding them the proper foods, they're giving them tender love and care. Why is it we're not getting this for individuals who are in a crisis with depression? How unfair is that? So I'm going to get to your question. So Diane says, my first experience with depression was back in 1989 after I had my first son. And that time there was no such thing as postpartum depression. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Diane. So that's something too. Now, I'm a mother of 5 children. Have I been depressed after pregnancies? Yes. I had not been diagnosed with postpartum depression. But when I look back, I believe that there was a bit of postpartum depression there. And as a mother, you just keep going. It's like, oh, the babies are going to cry. Oh, the babies keep you up at night. But you really, really are not taking time for yourself. And you're going through so many different emotions at the time. So thank you for sharing that, Diane. Terry says, money does talk. It does talk, and it's sad. It's like, how much money do I have to get some respect around here, right? Do I need to walk into a place and like show you a wad of cash? Because the emergency room, they say, well, if you're in a crisis, call 911, right? And so we're always teaching people the basics, right? And it's kind of like what I would call traditional medicine. It's not working. So you're telling me I can call a crisis line, but how long does it take for them to get to you? Then you're saying, well, call a crisis nurse. Okay, well, what do I say? Then you say, walk into the emergency room. So when I walk in there, I'm told to sit down. But when you are in major depression, anxiety, being in that space of having so many people around and having people to, look at you, and you're already feeling like someone's watching you, following you, and you're losing your mind literally. It's like, okay, why is no one paying me any attention? Tyrion says, intersectionality as it relates to race, gender, sexual orientation, and class. The research has proven that we get treated differently as Black women. So very, very true. Because Black women are looked upon to be very, very strong. We are supposed to be the strongest ones alive. And we're not supposed to hurt like this. We're not supposed to feel this pain. Money brings access. Diane, so very true. Why is it? So if money brings access, then why is it we're not getting monies funded for this specifically? So I see a lot of people have like these facilities that are coming up, and the truth of the matter is, again, it's not working. Traditional isn't working at all. I think too, on the other end, to be very honest with you, we do have some good psychiatrists and therapists, but it also has to take us as individuals to make sure that we're doing our parts, because doctors can't do but so much. Their jobs, as they are taught, is to treat, right? But in treating, they are also taught to give us tools and tips to be able to help ourselves. Are we really implementing those tools and tips? And the next thing to that is, to be honest with you, what about looking at your own personal life and who you have in your life? Because the truth of the matter is, some things we need to take ourselves away from: environments, people, and conversations. Okay, so things that I did was, I took myself out the news. I no longer have cable in my home. I get in my car, I listen to an Audible. I try to listen to certain music. I've recently downloaded an app called Calm, which is a really good app. So if you want a good app to go to, that is about the far best app that I have seen so far that I can download to go to listen to music that is very calming. You can listen to the ocean, you can listen to raindrops, you can listen to the fireplace crackles, you can listen to so many different things. They also have a masterclass that's on there that's really, really great. Gives you tools that you can think about when it comes to depression, and it's really teaching you things outside of the medication part. So I'm not saying don't take your meds, but what I am saying is it's something to think about, because for me, it's kind of like diabetes, and we need to also understand that the brain is an organ. So just like if we're eating fried chicken all the time and we're not staying healthy, we're not exercising, we're not drinking water, our bodies react to that. Most of us can have blood pressure, we gain weight, and you get diabetes, right? And so what happens is with the mind, are we really paying attention to our mental health? So there is a difference between mental health and mental illness. There are those who will be diagnosed with mental illness, and there are those who just need to take care of their mental health. And so we all need to take care of mental health. Let me say that. But there are those who are diagnosed, like myself and others, with mental illness. Miss Rhonda Dickinson says, it's like they don't listen until you have to hurt yourself or someone else. That is so true. So back in, I don't know what year it was, but we gonna say back in the day, y'all, because it is no secret that I am a baby mama, okay? And I have had my share of baby mama drama days. Do you hear me? And so in my days of these days, I remember getting into an altercation with his father at the time. And we argued about, I don't remember what it was. I think it was just him cheating or whatever. And the girl gets out the car. Now, my relationship with him has not always been cool. And so for me, if I see any of this or it feels that you're coming at me, of course, the reaction is you're going to swing, right? And so I just remember getting into this fight. And I remembered having this moment that really scared me. And this is when I first went to go seek therapy. I had an episode where literally my brain shut down. All I could do is remember seeing all black. And I remember I could feel that my hand was around her neck, but I could also feel that she could not breathe. And I heard something say, kill her. Kill her. Now, I know to you guys is like, oh my God. And I'm going to say something that you may not want to hear, but it's very, very true. That moment right there, when I've ever heard people say, I don't know why I did it. Something came over me and I snapped. And we look at people and say, you committed a horrible crime. I, in that moment, could have been one of those people. And I thank God that it did not go that way. I will say that I'm very grateful that the situation didn't turn out any other way. But I could remember that feeling. And just to be able to hear something talking to you, it's like, what the hell just happened here, right? And so, was I stressed? Yes. Was I hurt? Yes. I felt so betrayed. I was tired of being the laughing stock. I was tired of being humiliated. And I was getting jumped by the man that I loved and his, I guess, girlfriend. So, we get to a place in our lives where we don't really realize that we got so much hurt and pain that we're holding on to. And it's just a matter of time that we blow up. So situations, people, places, we need to try to avoid and get rid of so that we can start cleaning house and cleaning ourselves. Demetria Dorsey says, money talks, and that's how some see it. You are so right. Money does talk. Honey, make happen what you want to see in this world. # change. Thank you so much. Diane says, they want to know if you are able to afford to be taken care of. They want to put it in our neighborhoods because, as sad as it is to say, it will be easier to see our race disappear. That's very, very true. I do believe that. I know that voice, but it was telling me, kill me, to jump on and off the train. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Diane. So, in my moment, I have had suicidal thoughts, and I have also had suicidal attempts. Now, the attempt in 2009 was not my first attempt. However, it was an attempt where someone saw. Other attempts, I just woke up with a big, big headache. There were other attempts I was just like, I can't go through with this. But this particular time in my life was a time, not that it was just that particular time, but I just had so much. Like, you just kind of I just got to a place where I was just tired. My entire life, I felt like, what was the point of me living? Why was I put here on earth to go through this? Why was life so unhappy? I had these children, and I wanted to be a mother, a really great mother. I wanted to be a wife. I wanted to have this picket fence life, and I wanted to have this wonderful job, and I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to be respected. And at the end of the day, I didn't feel that I had that in my life. And so here I am, a young woman with 3 kids by the time I was 26 years old, just trying to make it into a world that seems so cold. And how do I do that and not allow people to disrespect me? How do I do that and still respect, and still, have my children to be respected as well? And so it really got to a place where I just got tired of being tired. I lost both my jobs. I was working full-time and a part-time job just to make ends meet. And at that time, I, paying the car note between rent, my car was crashed and it did not get fixed. And so I was just at this place where I was like, oh my God, being cheated on, being lied to, an abusive relationship that was very, very toxic. I mean, just everything, losing friends, hearsay, lies, just so much at one time. And so I just got to a place where I was just like, enough is enough. And, I just wanted my kids to know that I loved them. I felt like I tried everything possible. And so I didn't know what to do. And I will say in 2015, I really fought that mindset. And it was really, really horrible because inside I knew I really did want to live. I did. But I was so broken and so hurt. I was very embarrassed. And I couldn't believe that a system that was created to be able to help saw me like this and no one helped me. And so it got to a point where I didn't even trust the system anymore. And then I started to see that here where I live at personally, it could be different where you guys live at, but where I lived at personally, I really saw how broken the system was, how I fell between the cracks, how wait time is very important, how support is very important, and what was needed. And so what happened was I just pushed and I just kept trying to seek therapy until I found someone that fit me. I started to research who took my insurance rather than the insurance, the doctors sending me to like the 1 or 2 facilities they send everybody out to, right? And so what I did was I found someone who fit what I was looking for. And one thing that I was also looking for was to incorporate my faith into what I was going through and how my recovery was going to be, because my faith is a big part of my walk. And so I really wanted to be able to do that as well. And so today, I just, what I'm doing today, I'm really grateful for giving back the same thing that works for me, because it's very important for me to allow people to have a voice. And in having that voice is journaling. And so journaling was a big part of my life, and it still is a big part of my life. Every day I'm in recovery, and every day I am pushing, even though sometimes I can sit and cry. But one thing I can say is I will not give up, and I will continue to go forth on my journey and recovery and building platforms and creating for others around the world to be able to have a voice as well. In my company, Reconnecting Our Communities, we also have Expression Author Your Story. And with Expression Author Your Story is where I compile stories from real people with real stories from all over the world of survival. We have stories of people who have been sexually abused, people who have survived depression, survived suicide attempts, survived these storms in their lives that they never thought that they would ever go through. But it was a dark, dark moment in their life, whether it was drugs involved, prostitution involved. I often say choices have consequences, and we don't have control over consequences, but we never know what people are going through. So even though it is very easy for us to kind of judge people, why they doing this, why they doing that, the truth of the matter is we don't know the pain and suffering that people go through on a daily basis and what they're fighting. because you don't see those voices, you don't hear those voices, you don't feel that pain that someone feels, you don't know what they have gone through, and you don't know why they keep silent. And so there's so much, because we are in a world where people judge you, or people say ain't nothing wrong with you and things like that. So my goal is to really have individuals who express themselves without being judged or mocked for their pain, but give you their stories of their darkest moments, and also inspire others who are going through or may go through. So I'm really excited about these stories. I have a huge surprise getting ready to come up. You know your girl Nita like to do it, and I like to do it well, okay? So everything that I do, I'm always thinking about others. How can I bring forth to be able to help so many people? Also, if you would like to order any journals, Expression Author Your Story also has expression journals, and in these journals there are over 40 quotes that are in this journal here, and you are able to write. This is just a daily affirmation journal here, where you can write into the journals every day, whether you want to share a thought with yourself, whether it's something that you want to inspire yourself, give yourself motivation, write a prayer, or just to let your thoughts out, or maybe give to a friend or anyone who is interested. I've created this journal. Again, journals are a big part of what I do, and teaching people the benefits and the art of journaling. I have tons of journals, you guys. I have so many journals that I write in, whether I write my ideas, whether I write stories, whether I write, business goals or prayers or scriptures. But definitely, journaling has a huge benefit, especially with those who are very silent and going through depression. You may not go through depression. You may just need an outlet where you need to be able to see what your thoughts are, because that's really what journaling is. It helps you to see where your thoughts are, and it helps you to clearly see the areas of your life that you need to work on. And so a lot of that too is changing the way that we speak. How do we let go of the pain, that the things that have caused us a lot of pain in our lives? How do we create a plan for ourselves? So for me, my plan for myself, one of my plans was, I know what it's like to be on welfare. I'm a mom of 5 children, and I'm always looking for ways to be able to better support my children. God has gifted me with a voice, and God has really gifted me with the opportunity and the creation to create for others as well, who are going through current circumstances or past traumas. So I'm very grateful to be able to have my company, and I built my company because I also know what it's like to be on welfare, right? And so I wanted to go after my dreams, after my passion, and so I no longer got afraid of the mistakes that probably will be made, the bumps and bruises that I will fall into. But you know what? It has gotten me here today, and every day I move forward in making sure that I continue going and continue creating to give others a voice. And so in giving people a voice around the world is sharing stories from all backgrounds, from all types of different situations, to help motivate and inspire others across the world with your story. So Diane says, we need to talk about that. If you still have my number, give me a call. Send me your number. And I will let you know. Hi, Shondell Collins. Thank you for coming in. So I am getting ready to go, and I want you guys to leave your comments. I want you guys to message me as well. Tell me, what can we do? What can happen? Now, look, I know that the system may be broken, but my focus is really on what I can do to give back and be able to share my gifts with the world. So that's what I'm doing. What are your gifts? What are some things that you can do to be of support and help with a system that is broken, so that we can reach as many people as possible to help bring light and conversation to this topic of mental health and mental illness, to bring light to the topic that it is not as easy as they say it is for people to just walk into facilities who are underserved, who do not have that type of money to go into a facility and get the proper treatment and help. What are some things that we can put into place that we could share to be able to be a better support to not just ourselves, but to others, and to be supportive to, you know, our families, because a lot of us see mental illness in our families. What can we do? What can we also do to break the generational curses where we can have these conversations with our children, so that we can teach our children that if something's wrong, it's okay to say that you don't feel a certain way. It's okay to say that I'm hurting. And how do we get the support to allow our children to also have a voice? So hit me back, you guys, and I love you.